So something I never somehow shared is I actually had the incredible opportunity to visit the one-of-a-kind Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser at Walt Disney World. This resort became infamous after opening back in March of 2022, with reviews praising the experience but questioning whether the cost was justified. For two people to share a room and experience on the Starcruiser, the price was a staggering $5,000, meaning around $2,500 a person. A group of four could get in for $6,000, bringing the cost down to $1,500 a person, which was the cheapest possible option for the 2-day adventure. With that price, you'd get a themed hotel room with a bed, 2 sleeping pods, an AI assistant, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, including a dinner show. There were also plenty of interactives like bridge training, lightsaber training, an immersive excursion to Galaxy's Edge with lightning lane access to Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance, and unlimited blue and green milk. I've wanted to make a video about this for a while because I've never really shared my experience. I was incredibly lucky to experience it before it shut down a couple of years ago. And looking back, I truly believe this will go down as one of the biggest failures in theme park history, if not the biggest failure in theme park history. And that's a bold statement. However, what made the Starcruiser so unique is that it was an experience unlike anything else. And that's exactly why it failed. People simply didn't understand what they were paying for unless they actually did it. So first, I want to recap my entire experience on the Starcruiser, give you an inside look at what it really was like inside that small yet astonishing building. Then, I want to explore the question, is it even possible to recreate this experience ever again in the future? So, let's dive in. First off, my experience was anything but traditional. Here's how it happened. I was lucky enough to be invited to join someone on a 4-hour voyage of the Starcruiser. It was basically a very condensed version of the entire 2-day experience in 4 hours. We skipped the trip to Batuu, the launch sequence to the Halcyon, and of course an overnight stay, but in those 4 hours, we experienced both training activities, the dinner show, cast interactions, got to experience all of the little mini games hidden around the ship, and the legendary finale. So honestly, I'd say we covered about 80% of what the ship had to offer. We entered through the cargo hold and stepped into the atrium. An absolutely mind-blowing moment. Seeing all the photos and videos beforehand didn't compare to the feeling of actually being there. The level of immersion was unreal. Our first stop was bridge training, where we defended the ship from the First Order. I manned the shields and weapon stations, and the holographic controls on those massive 8K screens felt incredibly realistic. The live actors, especially the captain, guided us through the battle, and when Rey showed up to assist, the whole experience went from thrilling to just downright cinematic. Next, we explored the cabins. The standard rooms were cool, but the presidential suite was something else entirely. I couldn't even imagine staying in something that luxurious. Then we visited the climate room, designed to simulate Batuu's atmosphere. Then came lightsaber training, one of the most highly anticipated parts of the experience. The lead actor guiding us through was phenomenal. The way he explained the Force, the sabers, and the importance of the training made it feel so real. Holding the saber, blocking laser blasts, and then having Yoda test our instincts, absolute chills. After that, we headed to the engineering room, where we repaired the ship systems and fixed onboard malfunctions. That's when things got really interesting, because we ran into Rey, Chewbacca, and Sammy, one of the ship's crew members who was secretly helping the Resistance. Sammy had a plan to trick the First Order, and our small group, just me, my friend, and 2 other guests, were recruited to help, pretending to form an alliance, only to betray them later. It made us feel like we were truly a part of a mission. We called our team name Team Egg. I'll never forget about Team Egg, it was great. The level of immersion was next level before the chaos unfolded. We made a stop at the bar for some blue and green milk on tap. Yes, unlimited. And then played Holo Sabacc, which is essentially space poker. I could have spent hours just sitting there, enjoying the atmosphere. It was incredible. Then came lunch in the Crown of Corellia dining room. The food itself, like the sticky ribs and marinated tofu, was visually stunning. However, the taste was okay. What really stood out was the live performance by Gaia, the Star Wars universe's versions of Taylor Swift, at least according to Disney marketing. Her voice was incredible, and the entire show was surprisingly enjoyable. But just as we finished eating, the alarms blared, and it was time for the finale. We rushed back to the atrium where the First Order had captured Chewie, but, plot twist, this was all part of the plan. Sammy had orchestrated it to expose Lieutenant Croy's true intentions. Suddenly, the ship erupted into chaos. Rey and Kylo Ren's final battle began. This was hands down the most jaw-dropping moment of the experience. The lights dimmed, the tension built, and then a real lightsaber ignited. Seeing Rey pull out an actual glowing blade in front of us was surreal. Sure, the transition to the stunt saber could have been a bit smoother, but in the moment I didn't care. The fight choreography was stunning. It was just intense and incredibly cinematic. Then as the battle reached its climax, the chandelier collapsed, and I just stood there, jaw dropped, overwhelmed by how breathtaking this whole sequence was. Just like that, Sammy revealed himself, and Chewie saved the day. The heroes triumphed, and the voyage came to an unforgettable close. The way Disney crafted this full-scale cinematic experience made it feel like more than just a theme park attraction. For those lucky enough to experience it, it truly was a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. It was something as little as the way the soundtrack would sync with what the actors were saying, and the build-ups and the climactic moments were synced beautifully with the story being told. It truly felt like I was in the Star Wars movie. Now that we've summed all of it up, here's what I have to say. Galactic Starcruiser wasn't just one of the greatest theme park experiences I've ever done. It was, hands down, the greatest. I've never felt more immersed in an attraction or storyline in my entire life, and that is saying something. Considering my visit was only a half-day preview of what was meant to be a full 2-day adventure, I was completely obsessed. If I ever had the opportunity to do the full 2 days on the Starcruiser, and could justify the cost, I 100% would. The fascinating thing about it is that it wasn't really a hotel, and that's exactly why it failed. Disney didn't market it for what it truly was. Instead, they positioned it as a hotel with some cool add-ons, but in reality, it was a 2-day fully immersive Star Wars experience. A chance to live inside the Star Wars universe and become part of the story. The distinction was crucial, and the failure to communicate it properly, I think, was its downfall. The biggest issue? It was just simply too niche. When you're charging over $2,000 per person for an experience like this, you are targeting a very specific audience, either extremely wealthy guests or die-hard Star Wars fans. But here's the irony. Many people who weren't massive fans would have actually loved this experience had they tried it. I'm proof of that. I've seen all the movies, I enjoy Star Wars, but I'm not obsessed with it. I don't buy the merch, I don't collect the toys, I was just here for the ride. And yet the Starcruiser blew me away. Disney should have made it easier for people to try the experience. If they had offered more half-day previews like this, I truly believe it would have been a game changer. Giving guests a taste of what the Starcruiser was really like, it could have convinced them to come back and pay for the full experience. Now, as for pricing, a more reasonable entry point could have been $400 per person for what I got to do, including food, drinks, and the immersive elements. This way, guests could decide if it was worth spending more for the full adventure. I think even pricing it around $1,000 per night instead of $5,000 for 2 nights would have made a huge difference. But at the end of the day, it's heartbreaking that the most immersive theme park experience in the world is now gone. That brings up a bigger question. Will this ever be replicated again? The feedback on the Starcruiser was overwhelmingly positive aside from the price. So could Disney attempt a similar concept with a different theme? Could Universal maybe even create its own version? Maybe a Harry Potter themed Starcruiser or some kind of Nintendo experience? See, here's the problem. Starcruiser was a one-of-a-kind experience, and nothing else in the world could justify that price tag. Once you start charging over $1,000 per person for something in any kind of specific category, you are automatically narrowing down your audience. And if Star Wars, one of the biggest franchises in the world, if not the biggest, couldn't make it work, I don't think anything else will. The only other IP that might come close is Marvel, but even that would be a gamble. For the 2 years Starcruiser operated, it was the most unique, ambitious, and immersive theme park experience ever created, but yet, very few people got to experience it. In many ways, it was the rise of the resistance of hotels, an engineering marvel that just didn't reach enough people. I see what Disney was trying to achieve, and I do respect the vision, but the reality is that an experience like this will likely never exist again. So if you were lucky enough to experience it, cherish those memories. Keep sharing your stories, because the Galactic Starcruiser will forever be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So with that, if you were able to experience this, or you always wanted to and never got to, comment down below your thoughts. Share your stories if you were able to do it, but if you weren't, I want to know what you thought of it from an outside perspective. Will you still think about it today after all we learned about it years later? Tell me if you think if something like this will ever be replicated again. I love reading each and every one of your comments down below. If you ever want some nice POVs or off-ride footage, we have it all here at Theme Park Hunting, so be sure to check out my second channel, T-Page Productions, in the link in the description down below. And with that, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting, and I will see you all later.